We were today hoping we're going to be announcing Nathan's next opponent for a fight that's due to take place in Cardiff on the 17th of October at the Motorpoint Arena, where he'll be defending his light heavyweight title against, we was hoping it was going to be against Sergey Kovalev. However, we agreed terms with HBO who approached us for this fight probably sometime in May, and originally we intended to put the fight on the 20th of July. Subsequently, we were asked to push that back because Kovalev was going to fight an IBF eliminator, which he did last Friday, and then moved the date to the 10th of August. Again, we agreed to do that. We booked the venue, and then they came back to us and asked us to push it back to the 17th of August because they're doing HBO are doing 3 big shows on that night. And obviously, from my point of view and Nathan's point of view, it was great that he was getting some exposure on HBO. What's happened over the last week and the last few days, we've got various emails here from Kathy Duther to Dean, who's our matchmaker in the office, and to Richard Maynard, who's our press officer, tell us they're applying for visas, that they're would we hold up on announcing the fight last week because the fight they had on Friday, we agreed to do that, and very late last night, and I was on the phone till 5:30 this morning talking to HBO's people, that HBO now calling the main event people into their office, and they're telling them, you sign for this or not, one way or another, we need to know what's going on. So today we will know if Nathan on the 17th of August will be facing Kovalev. If he isn't, then it'll be another opponent, but that's the date he's going to be fighting on. That's the fight we want. We've agreed terms with HBO. All our side of the deal's done. I noticed on the good old internet this morning there was a quote from a gentleman called Kilmus who's the manager of Kovalev, who said he's not seen a contract from Cleverlys' side and we just cannot wait. Well, he wouldn't see a contract from us because they're dealing direct with HBO. And HBO, I can assure you, have, according to their lawyer and to Ken Hirschman, have provided them with a contract. So they're either going to sign it today or they're not. What's happened again over the last few weeks, we've had, I was also talking to Richard Schaefer about Bernard Hopkins, and cut a long story short, I thought we was quite close to making that fight, but it hasn't worked out. So here we are today. So we're going to know whether it's Kovalev. It's up to them. As I say, we are agreed, signed, we booked the venues, the ball's in their court, and hopefully he will let us know today. If not, as I'm repeating myself, there will be another opponent.
Could you just confirm that initially you said the 17th of October?
Sorry, 17th of August. Apologies, yeah, 17th of August. It was the 10th of August and it's been announced to move it back to the 17th of August.
Any ideas about what the opponent might be?
No, because I've got to be honest, up until about 9 o'clock last night, I was told this was all done. I've not, we didn't even negotiate with Kovalev. The negotiations with Kovalev were done through HBO. He's a handful. He's a tough fighter. He's a big puncher. He's the liveliest fighter out there. I mean, Nathan and I have talked about this fight, and Vince. And for me, if this fight happens, and hopefully it will happen, I look on Kovalev as being Nathan Cleverlys' Lacey. I think it's a similar job. HBO have got big expectations of this fighter. They like him. He's had quite a few fights on NBC, and they're just moving him over now to HBO. And I think this is the fight that will make Nathan, if they show up for it. Maybe they've had second thoughts in there, I don't know. But Nathan hasn't. Nathan actually asked me for this fight about 2 months ago? Yeah. He mentioned the name. And it never even crossed my mind at the time. But he's tough, he can punch, he's got a hell of a punch. But I think that Nathan's skill, Nathan's chin, his work rate, I think will see him through in this fight and put him in a position where it took us quite a while to get Joe Kawasaki in years ago. I think this is Nathan's moment. If this guy is brave enough to stand across the other side of the ring from him.
Must be very frustrating for you, Nathan, not knowing what's going on at the moment.
Well, it can be. I've been linked with these big names the last couple of fights, but at the end of the day, I'm a world champion, and I've got to go on my own path. And if these fights, if they don't want to fight me, then I've got to get on with business and do my thing. But I called out. I mentioned Kovalev to Frank a few months back because I heard the Americans was getting behind him. They were starting to rave about him, massive puncher, unbeaten. So I asked for that fight because I knew by beating Kovalev I'd make a statement in the US, and that's why I asked about this fight. So I think he's the most dangerous fighter out there. But maybe he's mandatory for Hopkins now. Maybe he's looking towards that fight because would he rather fight Hopkins or myself? So it's a bit of confusion going on, but maybe he'll take that route. But I'm ready. I've seen the emails for what's been fired back and forth with Frank, and it's all legitimate. Our side is done. I'm ready to fight. So it can be frustrating, but I don't need Kovalev. If he doesn't
Yeah, he's
want
the
to fight,
champion. He's the champion. This guy's a challenger.
we'll go another route.
Nathan, obviously Kovalev had quite a weekend against Cornelius White. How did you assess his performance in that?
I thought he was excellent. Yeah, I thought he was really good. Very, very impressive. Stood his authority from the start. Come out massive puncher and took Cornelius White out with ease. Made it look easy. It was a world class fighter. So I'd say he's the best out at the moment, Kovalev. I really think that.
Do you think it's maybe slightly a little bit different because obviously you're in Wales? Do you think because you're not in America, do you think that is maybe why you haven't had the kind of massive fight to share? Do you think that is maybe in it as well?
There's no doubt it takes time. It does take longer because you haven't got that American aura behind you. It can take longer, but we'll get there. At the end of the day, I'm still 26, so I've got plenty of time on my side. You have a look at some of the fighters of their background at 26 years of age. Some of them are just turning pro, or some of them are fighting for Commonwealth titles. But I'm on my 6th defence of my world title now. So
I don't quite agree that what you're saying there, because you look at Kovalev, he's a hot prospect. He's 30 years of age. He's been as you say, he's on his 6th defence now. So he's had his fights. He's had some good opponents, and he's had some average opponents. That was all challenging.
That's another thing. You get some people come out and say, "Who's he fought?" Well, I'm 26. Give me a chance. I'm just literally.
Look at Cole Frocker's fought at the age of 26. You go and compare the records and see who Cole Frock, where he was at the age of 26. I think he was fighting guys for the British title. Right?
Matthew Barney.
Matthew Barnett, same age.
You judge me in 4 years when I've conquered these guys, when I'm undisputed light heavyweight champion. Then the cynics can they can come back and judge me then. But like I said, it's people. You get. I mentioned Kovalev on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah.
Even though he's probably the most dangerous fighter in the light heavyweight division, I still had people saying I'm fighting another taxi driver. That's how stupid some of these people are. Absolutely ridiculous. Imbeciles, just thick, stupid morons. Calling. Have a look at his last fight and see if he's a taxi driver. This guy is good. So that just shows the education of some of these people. And it's the true boxing fans and the true boxing writers know how good this Kovalev is. But then you get these these idiots, just because it's not a Hopkins or a Dawson, he's a taxi driver, he's a road sweeper.
He's a road sweeper who's had NBC television, which has got probably one of the biggest.
He's backed by HBO, you know, or
TV.
NBC, the American TV.
But we're signed for it.
He's
And
ranked
that's the point.
pound for pound, top 4 punchers in the world, and yet he still gets called a road sweeper. So that's the type of attitude towards me, you know, because that's just the way people are. So you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, I'm a world champion. I'm unbeaten. I've won every round in my last 3 fights. I've not lost a round. I've won it with ease, and the only way is up. I'm gonna dominate this division.
So Cardiff are bringing the Premiership on the 17th. I think they're having their first game. That's the start of the football season. So what we're hoping for is that they draw Arsenal at Cardiff. We can go and watch the match, and then we'll boxing in you.
We'll be rivals one day.
Worst case scenario, and this doesn't come off, would you have to face a WBO mandatory?
No, Brayman's fighting on August 25th, I think. And that is the 25th, isn't it? Yeah, 25th.
That was another option, because Brayman was stated as my second mandatory, but he doesn't want the fight. In all fairness, you know, he's happy defending his European title, you know, because he knows that if he steps up against me, then he's going to come unstuck. So he'll defend his European title, pick up his regular paydays. But we've offered substantial money to Carl Froch. It would have been his biggest payday yet. You know, I made it public. I'm ready for that fight. It'd be massive. That's a stadium fight, but he doesn't want it. What more can I do? You know.
Do you think it might be? That he feels he's got unfinished business in that division, but then might make the move?
He's not going to fight Andre Ward. Why? You know, what's going to be any different about the first fight? Nothing. That fight is. Andre Ward will do the same thing wherever they fought. In Cardiff, front room, it'll be the same outcome. You know, you've got to look at levels and who's facing who. And, you know, Kessler's a decent fighter, but he's not the Kessler he was when Joe Kawasaki fought him, that's for sure. And Carl Froch, he didn't have to put his titles even on the line. We said to him, fight for Nathan's title. No problem, fight for Nathan's title. You haven't got, so he's got an insurance policy should he get beat, that he still holds his 2 super middleweight titles.
I was prepared to come down from light heavyweight for the fight. That's how much I was prepared to make this fight happen. But you know, I can understand the arrogance behind it of not wanting to fight me, because he's been involved in some tough fights. I've got massive respect for that. But in terms of saying I'm not a potential worthy challenger, it's ridiculous. It's just outrageous, you know. That's just where the truth is. I would beat him. That's the real reason. And again, Hopkins was cancelled against Taramura, and Frank phoned me. You know, he was upbeat. Phoned me, do I want to fight with Hopkins? I jumped at the chance. You know, and I said definitely, let's do it. And no reply.
We were even given a date, 7th of September. I spoke to Richard Schaefer, 7th September. We spoke to Millennium Stadium, the whole thing. And Hopkins, I don't know, it just seemed to all go quiet all of a sudden. So we'll see what happens. But the fact of life is, he is only 26 years of age. He is the world champion, and he will be fighting. Nathan will be fighting on the 17th of October. Sorry, 17th of August, and I just hope it's going to be this guy's in the opposite corner, but today we'll know.
What do you think the chances are, Frank, that it's going to be going to choose Nathan rather than Hopkins?
I don't think it's going to be his choice. I don't think Hopkins really wants to fight him anyway. Hopkins won't want to fight this guy, I'm quite sure of that. But we'll see what happens today. And you know, HBO, I know, are not happy because they thought we had a deal. I was talking to their lawyer, as I say, at 5:30 this morning, 12:30 their time. You know, they're not happy campers, so Pat English and Kathy Dougal will be going into HBO today, and I think they're going to be told the facts of life
When do you anticipate finding out? Mate?
today. Oh, we'll know today. I mean, it'll be early evening, I think.
Weren't HBO one of the people trying to ratify this fight?
Correct.
They wanted this fight.
Correct.
They did ask me about
The emails there, it's all here.
Yeah.
Got all the emails from them. I mean, you know, that starts off. You know, we've moved the date 3 times to accommodate. Can't do no more than that.
And the division is getting exciting now. It's been thrown wide open.
Yeah.
Stevenson, Kovalev. It's a new era now in this division. Andre Ward possibly stepping up. So this is going to be
he will
some.
step up.
This is going to be some exciting times ahead.
What did you make of Stevenson's performance the other day? I'm sure you've been asked that already.
Yeah, it's difficult to look into one-punch knockouts, first round performances, but not really surprised by it. You know, explosive puncher, and he caught Dawson, who can sometimes be a little bit lackluster. Caught him flat-footed, and with that power, you know, he took him out. So, not really surprised.
Joe, I don't know if you've spoken to Joe Fonseca at all. Obviously, you know, after your last performance, I spoke to him just outside the dressing room. He was saying that, you know, there's nothing wrong with the patience in your career, that, you know, you'll have the ability to step up when you meet better opponents. And there was a time in Joe's career where he wasn't rushing forward. Have you spoken to him about that at all?
Well, that's a perfect example of someone who's, you know, unbeaten. He's unbeaten in 46 fights. Learned his trade, and then when the big fights happened, he won them. So that was, you know, he executed his career, and with obviously his promoter behind him, Frank, he done the perfect career, really, unbeaten. So he passes down good advice. You know, it's no rush. It's no rush, but at the same time, we've got to try and keep these fights going that will capture the public's imagination and get the excitement going. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make these fights happen, because, to be honest, I don't think there's anybody that can beat me, if I'm being perfectly honest, in the light heavyweight division. So chuck me in there.
But maybe you thought it would happen quicker because you won the British, Commonwealth and European in record time. You know, you did, didn't you? It was over 18 years.
Yeah. My whole career has been a blitz so far, because from the age of 20, when I won Commonwealth, British, European and the world title, it's just been so fast. And at times you think, just hold back a little bit, you know. So I've had a few defences of my world title. There's been no need to be thrown in with. And we've tried making big fights, there's no doubt, but
I thought we had Hopkins, was it over a year ago?
last year we tried, we negotiated with Hopkins, and that fell through at the last minute. So it's difficult sometimes on negotiation part. It's about building my name up first, and then we can get these super fights. But you need to become an established world champion. You can't just be a world champion and then go for a super fight. You've got to become established, and that's what we do now.
But even 5 weeks ago, Bernard Hopkins was coming out publicly saying he still wanted to fight you, or he wanted to fight Froch.
We were talking to him to him on Friday. So not to him, to Richard Schaefer. We thought we were quite close to getting it done, but it all fell apart. So we will know where we are, and there'll be a good card down there as well. We put together some good fights on the card, and as I say, hopefully today it'll be this fight will be confirmed. If not, then it'll be we will come up with something in the next 48 hours. We'll back up to that. Any other questions? All done? Thank you. You got one?
I'll ask when you finish. I'm going to ask the same questions that have already been asked.